Now, of course, we saw at the Breaking Point pay-per-view on Sunday night that the quote-unquote second or third edition of the Montreal Screwjob took place. That's not what I'm here to talk about today, guys, because obviously it's about a week removed and it's old news. If you want to listen to a video that accurately predicted the Montreal Screwjob that occurred last Sunday, it's the video that's in my channel right now, the main video, featured video, so to speak. What I do want to talk about is what we saw on Smackdown last night, which was the self-proclaimed explanation to the second Montreal Screwjob. Now, whenever this happened and whenever this went down, it was a prediction that the Delinquents Wrestling channel accurately predicted, but it was based upon a total, I would say, not so much a gamble, but just the fact that this is the only way that they could really go with this, because having CM Punk legitimately make The Undertaker tap out kind of goes against everything that The Undertaker has stood for 20 years and everything that they have built The Undertaker around in the WWE. So this was one of the very, very few logical outs that they had, and the fact that it was in Montreal, you could kind of see it coming a little bit, or you could definitely see some shenanigans going down. So that much shouldn't come to a surprise to a lot of people. What did surprise me, though, was that a lot of fans and people believed that this was a legitimate screw job, much in the same vein as Bret Hart's more than 10 years ago, and that Vince McMahon and The Undertaker were on the outs, and Vince legitimately screwed The Undertaker over, much as he had done to Bret Hart. Now, of course, we learned on SmackDown that it wasn't the case. It was something that was completely planned. Now, what kind of ticked me off about this a little bit, what really kind of pissed me off, to be completely honest, is the explanation that they gave. The explanation that they gave was, of course, that Teddy Long and referee Scott Armstrong have families, they have mouths to feed, they have to do what they have to do in order to keep themselves employed by the WWE. And, of course, Scott Armstrong said that his orders came to him from somebody above, and Teddy Long, of course, we're assuming is the powers from above because of the segments that we saw with him and Vince, where Vince was telling him in recent weeks, you gotta make something great happen. Good is not good enough. You need something great, something spectacular, something over the top. And in the eyes of Vince, Teddy delivered in the form of having Batista come over, but with the whole thing with The Undertaker, he was a little bit wary and wondered why exactly he did it. Of course, Teddy gave the explanation that it was because he has mouths to feed and he's just too old to quote-unquote learn how to do something else. To me, this seemed kind of rushed together. It seemed like they really could have taken this multitude of different directions, and this was kind of the weakest of all of them in order for them to use. It just seems using the livelihood and using the excuse of the economy is something that's been kind of overly done in both the media and in society, and really even in wrestling. So this is something that just seemed to me like they could have come together with something a little bit more creative, especially considering you put Jeff Hardy in the mix. You could have had Vince really return to his heel form and never want the title on Jeff and really be behind CM Punk. You could have Teddy be behind CM Punk. It's been a little while. It's been since Vicky Guerrero left where we really had one of those situations where we've had a general manager really have a favorite, really have somebody that they're willing to do things for. And you could kind of say that Teddy did that here in this situation with CM Punk, but he didn't back it up by aligning himself with him and all of that. So, you know, it's just one of those things. Now, one thing that is interesting, is from what we saw with Teddy Long and The Undertaker in the limousine with all of the special effects, is that maybe this is a way to take both men off television. And I know that this isn't something that a lot of you want to hear. Teddy Long, I think, has a better chance right now of being back on TV than The Undertaker, and this is based off of some reports that have come in that he has not really fully recovered from his injuries and from his surgery. And apparently the Breaking Point matchup, which is his first matchup ever since coming back at SummerSlam, really didn't go very well. Now, this is just loosely based rumors and just based purely upon the speculation of what not only I saw whenever I was watching the matchup on Sunday night, but also from what a lot of other people have seen. So this is a situation that might bode poorly for The Undertaker, and he might actually be taking some more time off, and it might really be the reason why Batista's move to SmackDown was rushed, and why it even happened to begin with. So it's hard to tell, and it's very, very hard to say. But it seems to me that if you're going to go through all the trouble with all the special effects and everything, you also logically would have to take Teddy Long off of television for a while. You can't just have him magically appear on SmackDown next week and be like, whoa, won't believe what I had to go through. I mean, something has to really up the intimidation factor of The Undertaker if they're really going to take this angle to a certain degree. Of course, nothing has been really reported to this moment. Nothing about Teddy Long's job that I've been able to find from any of my sources, but it's just an interesting situation. It's an interesting way to kind of close out this situation without, firstly, The Undertaker having to get involved with CM Punk again. Really, to be perfectly blunt, they really didn't touch this as much as a lot of people were probably hoping. They took it from the sides of the referee and the general manager, but they really didn't throw too much in the way of one-on-one interaction between the two superstars. The only thing that we got was CM Punk preaching to the choir, so to speak, or preaching to the universe, and that's about it. And he was just saying, plain and simple, I told you so. So this is, for the degree of what happened as far as the universe is concerned, because the universe was in an uproar over this over the past week, and it can be easily documented by the number of videos that were made based upon this, not to mention the number of accounts that became suspended because of videos on this. I mean, it was quite the hellacious week for the internet wrestling community based upon what happened this past Sunday night, and now it seems that there has been a definite backlash to all of this. Now, you have to remember that the Batista announcement that he was going on the Smackdown occurred on Monday, which was a live show. So this was something that happened after the Breaking Point pay-per-view. Now, many people will say that this was something that was coming because of the announcement that Teddy made to Vince McMahon that he had something planned for after Breaking Point, and he had something planned for Breaking Point. So it's very, very difficult to say just how far along these plans really were going and everything like that, but you know, it is what it is. I'm going to leave you today with my reaction to Batista being on my television screen while reviewing Raw this past week on the Delinquents Wrestling Broadcast. Let's just say I should be right now broadcasting with a halo on top of my head. Take care, guys.
Super Cena's music hits, so of course I am assuming that Super Cena grabs Orton, throws him into the ring, and then of course Batista hits the Batista bomb. 1, 2, 3, Batista wins. Batista's going to SmackDown.